Hey there, this is a forecast I think that's going to be really helpful for people who are a little bit stuck in memories at the moment or feeling a little bit extra sensitive because in this week ahead, we've got Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer, and that means we're going to have Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. And it could be slightly overbalanced in that area. And so, what I want to do is explore what that means to us so that we can understand how to use that energy as well as possible. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. My whole aim here is to help interpret the planetary picture in such a way that you can see what's going on in your life through a new lens. Hopefully that's going to be helpful to you. So I've got my slides with me. Let's just get cracking and pile in. Now, there's not that many things happening, truth be told. Often we'll have a lot of aspects between one planet and another, or the North Node. The moon is always making aspects, and I'm not really talking about these in here because the moon moves so fast. But these planet to planet aspects really pack a punch. They start to describe the architecture of our days and weeks ahead. And so that's what I'm looking at. We've also got Mercury going into a new sign this week. So he's been in Gemini for a while, and he's actually going into Cancer. And usually Mercury can go through a sign in between 3 and 4 weeks. He's actually going to be there until the 9th of August, which is quite a long time. He's also going to go retrograde in the sign of Cancer as well, which I think is adding a little bit of extra sort of peculiarity and poignancy here. So yeah, let's dive in and see what's coming up. So I want to start first of all by just talking a little bit about Mercury going into Cancer and what that might represent for you. So we've got Mercury, and you might know that he's a planet all about communication, but he's a lot more than that. He's a planet about the mind. He is a messenger between the humans and the gods, passing on messages between reality and beyond the veil. As such, he's always moving things around. There's a lot of movement, travel, stories of travel, stories of friendship. Mercury is somebody who can flip between lots of different people, lots of different places with messages. He's also very much about trading and the flow of money, and also absolutely about communication. If there's a mix up to be had, you can check out where Mercury is at that time. He's also a planet that I would associate with sociability and learning, because Mercury is involved in so much movement that he helps us to develop our sociability, and he helps us learn through all of our social experiences. Now, he's in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is a very different energy. Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's quite slow working. Cancer is all about the feelings. It's also very much about the psyche and the intuition. If you think of the crab has these defensive pincers, and the crab will run and hide quite quickly. The crab will, and I've seen this on the beach where I live. My kids see a crab, they go slightly close to it, but it's got such a peripheral vision. It's always looking out for danger. And so the crab avoids and it scuttles off, and it can go in many different directions. And if it really senses danger, it will hide first. It will only nip you if it has run out of other opportunities. But the Cancer is aware of that energy, is aware of any threat, any danger. So it's a very sort of self-protective and also very protective of the things that matter. Cancer absolutely cares and nurtures and wants to make sure everything is safe, emotionally safe, not necessarily physically safe, but definitely emotionally safe. So there's a heartfelt, intuitive, caring, responsive energy. And so what happens when Mercury, ruling the mind and communication, gets together with Cancer? Things are going to get softened very quickly. And Cancer really takes us into our memories, really our emotional memories that were formulated really early on in childhood, and also at times of pain, at times when we couldn't manage our emotions very well, in particular when we might have needed some extra support from people. Cancer helps us to feel like we belong and helps us to help other people come into our life and get a sense of belonging too. So some of the strengths of Mercury in Cancer is that we are coming into this time where we're better listeners, where we want to connect emotionally rather than just with facts, where people are a lot more thoughtful and receptive and open, but it's an opening of the heart. It's not shutting everything down. They're kind, empathic people and very attentive to what you need. In a negative way, Mercury in Cancer can really show where we get defensive about our opinions, defensive about people, where we might get very moody if something doesn't feel right, and the moodiness will come out in the communication. We can become withdrawn, maybe not as social, maybe a bit more reticent. We might be passively aggressive. If you think of the crab, he's passively aggressive first. He avoids, he runs, he hides, and he nips only if things get difficult. And so I don't know if you can hear my husband's hoovering really loudly. So if there's any noise disturbance, it's him. So please excuse that. This is very everyday home here where my study is. Mercury in Cancer is also very nostalgic and very much connected to the dream world and to the memories. And so again, this is like brooding over personalized memory scape that Mercury is likely to open up at this time, because you're remembering things and you're knowing things in your memories. And so it's really big. Now, what makes this even more sensitive, I would say, is that during this month, in the month of June, right at the end, Mercury is going to stop at 26 degrees Cancer, and then he's going to retrograde. So he's going backwards 10 degrees. And he's going to move forwards again on July the 23rd. So it's 3.5 weeks of him retrograding through those 10 degrees of Cancer. If you've got anything, any planet, any angle, I've got a planet as well in that little space. Mercury is going to come over that, and it's asking you to look back at the memories, look back at the time, look back nostalgically. Wherever this is showing up in your chart is likely to feel extra sensitive right now. Now, if we put it into the context of astrology right now, Mercury is going to be coming into the sign of Cancer. We've got Venus in Cancer and Jupiter in Cancer. Venus in Cancer is making us more protective of our friends, making us remember our friends of the past, our happy memories, maybe where we felt protected, but also reminding us of maybe when we didn't feel so protected. Venus is reminding us of secure emotional attachments and why we might need them. Jupiter has been in Cancer for quite some time. He's about to leave Cancer. In fact, on the 30th of June, Jupiter's going to head off into Leo. So he's been here a year almost. And Jupiter in Cancer is opening us up to familial connections. He's opening us up so much more into our friends of family friends, things around us, like really close. We're wanting to relate to people at a much deeper level. We're wanting to get much deeper with people and to feel much greater levels of trust. Jupiter is encouraging us to open our heart and to not defend ourselves so much. And so with all of this opening coming in and Mercury now coming in and allowing our communication to get deep and meaningful and personal and to remember things of the past, it's going to be a really big shift. Now, during this time, we've also got the sun going into the sign of Cancer as well. So Mercury, when he goes retrograde, the sun's going to be here too. So we're really coming into this home, need to feel secure kind of energy. It's really going to come up. Now, this is quite an unusual month because we've got so many changes. So we've got Mercury going into Cancer, Venus into Leo on the 13th, Chiron into Taurus. Now, Chiron has been in the sign of Aries since 2018, 2019. He's now heading into Taurus for a few months. He will come back here later on, I think September the 18th. But we're getting a little bit of a taster here. Like I said, the sun's moving. That's going to generate the whole new season. That has its own special energy as well. We've also got Mars heading into Gemini, which is going to be interesting because Mars will connect with Uranus. That's going to be one hell of a ride when that comes up. And like I said, we've got Jupiter heading into Leo too. So this month ahead is also bringing up quite a lot of energetic shifts. Now, why is it important that I mention that right now? I would say because when Mercury is in Cancer, it's setting the tone for the retrograde that's coming up at the end of the month. See, whatever you're doing right now in terms of friendships and memories and connections with people, Mercury is kind of slowing down and he's asking you to pay attention. I used this analogy earlier. If you're driving a car and you know you need to reverse, you don't just suddenly stop. You slow down, you start paying attention to what's going on. Obviously, you should be paying attention anyway, but you pay a lot more attention to make sure it's safe to stop. Then you're looking in your mirrors, you're looking over your shoulder before you even hit reverse. You're really making sure you know why you're going backwards. And this is similar with Mercury. So he's coming into a retrograde, which means he's going to be rewinding our thoughts, rewinding our ideas about our stories, in particular our emotional stories. And actually, it's quite helpful to see where you're going before you start going into that deep, meditative, slightly emotional, slight uncovering kind of process. It's a really deep process having Mercury retrograde in a water sign, let alone in the sign of Cancer. So there's potentially quite a few emotions and trapped emotions, things that haven't completed, that's going to come up. And so, what I would say right now is during this time when Mercury is heading into Cancer and he's making some really strong connections with the other planets, it would be really useful that as you notice things coming up, strange feelings and sudden memories out of the blue, that you start processing what they mean to you. Because what if the stories you've been holding just aren't relevant anymore? What if they're not even true anymore? So, Mercury in Cancer in this week ahead is inviting you to notice that, so that when you do start to go deep right at the end of the month, you're not completely unprepared for it. Have you ever considered that the stories you've been holding, you've completely outgrown? You've built these stories most likely around self protection. And of course, self protection, over protection. These are all real themes that come up with the Cancer zodiac sign. So what if your stories of security have held you in place, but they now need to be updated, seen through a new pair of eyes, and to have a whole new meaning? What if you're about to rewrite how you see the past? So, yeah, my question to you is, let's see if what you've kept locked up in your heart is still true. Let's see if it still fits. And I think that's what Mercury is really proving to you in this week ahead. So, here are the big things that are coming up. So, first of all, Mercury sextile Chiron. I really think of this as a time when you might just get a sudden burst of vulnerability. Chiron shows us where we feel vulnerable in our identity, very much about the self, the image you put out, the way people might think about you, what you're known for, maybe your reputation. All of these you could feel very vulnerable about. And so here, Mercury on Monday, just before he goes into Cancer, it's almost like something from the past comes up, or something comes into you, into your awareness, and all of a sudden there's that slight stab of vulnerability, that moment where you go, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, or what do they think of this, etc., etc. So it's just bringing this to your mind. Interestingly, at the same time, the moon is going to be going into Capricorn. And so between the 1st and the 4th, I think is Thursday, we've actually got the moon going into an opposition with Mercury, then going into an opposition with Venus, and then later going into an opposition with Jupiter. So again, all of these feelings about, am I protected in my relationships? Am I emotionally stable in my relationships? Do I feel expanded with the people around me? And what about my memories? All of this is being triggered by the moon, triggered into response. Now, also, if you're eagle eyed, you'd have also noticed that Venus and Jupiter are in squares right now. We've got squares to Saturn. We've also got squares to Chiron. And when Mercury comes in here, Mercury is going to move into this squared energy with these planets in Aries. In fact, he's going to make a square to Neptune. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have the moon here in the sign of Capricorn. We're going to have, we've got Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron all in Aries. And we've also got Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in Cancer. What this is creating is what's known as a T square. It's like a 90-degree angle, like a set square even. And these are really tight and frustrating. These are these aspects that bring things right to the forefront, that we see them and feel them so much that we can't ignore them anymore. So I do think a lot of stuff's going to come up, and in probably quite a surprising way. During this time, what I really like the most actually about this week is the fact that we've got this very steady influence from the Sun and Saturn. The Sun represents our adult assertive self and our vitality, our sense of just feeling great in ourselves. And Saturn shows our level of status, our level of seriousness. Have we got gravitas, you could say? And it really represents us as adults, in particular, adults with responsibility, maybe as a parent. And so to me, there's this high level of accountability, a high level of self parenting, and a high level of self responsibility. And so this is really underpinning all the things that are being explored right now. So, what I want you to know is if stuff from the past is coming up, you're not alone. You're actually here to guide yourself through this. You've already got the skills you need to be able to make sense of it. So, that's divine as far as I can see. It feels like it's divine purpose. Now, later on in the week, we've also got Mercury going into a trine with the North Node. Now, I like this because the North Node really shows us our karmic direction and maybe some of the things that we've tripped up over in our lifetime, maybe some of those repeating patterns. And you might find that some of the emotional memories that come up and some of the fun memories that come up, that they are part of an ongoing pattern that you've been experiencing. So you get another way to access yourself, because it's like life is talking to you, life is showing you the signs of who you are being right now. It's almost inviting you to rewrite your story that you've created to survive. Yeah. And I also think it gets us to notice the patterns of protection that we've kept around us. These are both in the signs of water, which is very much about our emotions, very much about our psyche and our intuition. So it goes deep. And then later on this week, we get Mercury in a square to Neptune, an exact square to Neptune. And this is where we could easily confuse ourselves, and we could go down if we wanted to, or we could just recognize, Louisa said this might happen. This is my moment to be magical with myself. This is my moment to be in a place of self forgiveness, to release guilt and to release shame and to release any embarrassment that I might have felt about the past. To me, this is encouraging you to create a new story that lets you off the hook, create a new story that gives you some space from all of your self judgment that could have you doubting yourself, gaslighting yourself, and imagining things as well. Mercury, when he's paired with Neptune, can become very imaginative. You could almost create future memories for yourself that feel really real. Mercury is a very strong function in this week ahead for sure. And then as we get to the end of the week, we've got Friday when the moon comes into a conjunction with Pluto. This to me feels like such a strong time because by this point, Venus and also Jupiter are getting closer and closer. And to me, that's really showing how we can forgive, but we can be hopeful about ourselves, where we can be warm towards ourselves, where we can give to ourselves and be really kind. To me, this is opening us up in a nice way. We've also got the moon in a conjunction with Pluto happening at the same time. And the moon in a conjunction to Pluto is reminding you just how strong you are and how much more control you have now than you realized before. So there's a lot of real gifts here. At the same time as this is happening, the moon is coming into a trine with the sun. The moon and Pluto are in a lovely trine with Uranus. To me, this is symbolic of our restructuring of our unconscious mind. We're able to not just repattern our stories and think differently, but we can actually really change the internal programming that has kept us in the places that we've been in. And then as we get to the end of the week on Sunday, we've got the moon finally heading into the sign of Pisces. And later on that day, it's going to make a conjunction to the North Node. To me, this is really a bit like brackets. You have a sentence and you've got little brackets either side. To me, at the start of the week, we're opening this new sequence. And as we get to the end of the week, as the moon comes into conjunction with the North Node, it feels like we're ending it and it's neatly bundled, it's neatly tied together. I really think on Sunday, we've got a chance to make new meanings based on the experience and the journey of this week that we've experienced. So there's a lot going on there. I hope that's useful to you. Mostly, I just think your old memories are coming up to be repatterned and to give you new meaning, and that anywhere where you've needed to feel protection, to feel safe, that pattern is coming to an end. You've got new skills. You can absolutely recognize you've got these new skills and you can start putting them to good use. So I hope that's helpful. If you would like to go even deeper with me, I have a free community on the school platform. That's www.school, that's skool.com/feel good astrology. And 5 days a week, I will provide a little forecast and talk about where the moon is on these days. So, for instance, on Sunday, the moon makes also a square to Uranus, is also making a trine to Mercury. Every day, I'll be talking about what the moon is doing. So it goes deeper and it's a lot less formal. It's a bit more sweary and there's a little bit more sharing there, but it's quite a safe place to come and join. So if that's of interest to you, please join us there. If you would like me to put this kind of energy into your own chart, then also just get in touch. You can book a session with me using my link to Calendly. So there you have it. I hope you have a lovely week ahead. Lots and lots of love to you, and catch you another time. Bye for now.